I'm an Alabama grad, right? So, I'm doing my show this morning. I'm prepping for my show this morning, and all of a sudden I just get a text from a buddy. And it's just a link to one of a tweet. And it's Greg McElroy, who obviously former Alabama quarterback, has his own radio show. And he came out and he had said that he believes that Nick Saban will return to coaching. He said a person in the know believes Nick Saban will return to coaching. And he also goes on to say, if it wasn't someone notable, I would never say a word. Now, I immediately see this, and I think, okay. I mean, Greg McElroy, you would think, is a decent source. He obviously played for Saban. Yeah. I mean, he was his quarterback. Maybe it's just the summer, and they're looking for things to talk about, or maybe he got something and he was just trying to run with it. Who knows? Maybe he's doing this for content. I'm in the belief I got to see it before I can believe it. There were other people that think maybe this is a possibility, right? Because Saban kind of strikes, I think, a lot of people as somebody who literally will coach until his last dying day. And maybe he just has gotten bored and he wants to return to the game. Obviously, a big part of why he retired was because of the NIL era, as have so many of these legendary coaches across college football, college basketball, just because of how different it is compared to what they've been used to for so many years. But do you buy into this at all, that Saban's got the itch for coaching again, that maybe he would explore an option? Like, is there a team that you think that he would go to? Like, what do you make of all this?
Well, let's talk this out. Greg McElroy is very well connected. I don't think anyone's debating that, especially in the SEC, especially at Alabama. Occam's razor is a theory that says the most logical solution is typically the right answer. Like, it's one of the more knock you on the head kind of cliches out there. If McElroy has a source, it would make the most sense that his source is a Bama person. So it's not really to me about if Nick wants to come back. I'm sure the answer to that question is yes. If you're a competitive guy, are you going to like the way things ended? Probably not. So I think if the ego takes over and he wants to prove that he can still win at Alabama, and Greg McElroy's source, most likely, based off of who his connections are, is an Alabama person, is it fair to say that Alabama's the favorite here to be the team that he comes back to? I'm not saying he's going back to Alabama, but if we're pricing this based off of Occam's razor, based off of Greg McElroy being a Bama guy, and based off of pride and ego being like the number one personality trait of these successful head coaches, is it fair to say Bama's like the heavy favorite here, or at least the favorite to be the team that he goes back to?
So that's what makes all of this interesting because, I mean, look, if Nick Saban wants to come back to coach at Alabama, there's no way you can't tell him no, right? If he wants to be the head coach, he's obviously earned that and you have to give that to him. But it would be such a bad look for the university, Jared, right? And what situation that would put DeBoer in. Like, how would anybody take a job after that at Bama, right? I mean, I guess maybe if like Saban's like 85 and then you just know like he's not going to coach anymore, then maybe. I just think you've made this investment in DeBoer, and look, maybe it doesn't work out. Maybe they miss the playoff again this year. And
they lost in the ReliaQuest Bowl to Michigan last year. If they have another season like that, I think you can make the case for DeBoer's not working out.
You certainly could. And look, Nick Saban's 73 years old. Bill Belichick's 73 years old. We obviously know he's the coach of Carolina. Pete Carroll's 73 years old. We know he's the coach for Vegas. So it isn't insane to think that Saban couldn't come back to coaching. That's not the part of it that I don't think is crazy. My part is what you're thinking, is you would think Bama would be the heavy favorite. And I just don't know if Saban would do that to the school in a sense. Like, he would put them in that situation. Sure. Maybe if he was so confident that he would do a better job than DeBoer was at winning them a championship, maybe. But I only think Saban. I only think Saban's coming back, Jared, to be a head coach. Like, I don't think Saban, like, this is he wants to come back to coaching and he's going to be one of those, senior defensive analysts, or he's going to come back to be the defensive coordinator. Like, if Saban's coming back, he's coming back to be the head coach. And if he's coming back, he's coming back to win a national championship, right? That's why I like the Raiders so much this year in the NFL. I don't think Pete Carroll took the job to win 6 games. Like, I think he took the job because he thinks that they're going to be competitive, that he thinks maybe they got a shot at making the playoffs. That's why they traded for Geno, obviously new GM, front office, all these things. So if Saban's coming back, he's obviously trying to win. I mean, that's just in his DNA. He wants to compete and wants to be the best. But, yeah, the Bama part of it is so interesting. But it's like, if it's not Bama, then who else would it be, right? Which is why I think this is so fascinating.
It's not Georgia, that's for sure. The way you just described Saban's mindset, I'll pull a MCU, Marvel Cinematic Universe comparison here. That's like, the reasons Thanos gave for wanting to snap half the existence out of, off the universe. He's like, well, it's someone's, it's our resources are finite. Someone's got to do it. I'm the best man for the job. Like, that's the reasons he gave for wanting to, collect all the Infinity Stones and snap away half the universe. If Nick Saban doesn't think that Kalen DeBoer is doing a good job, you don't think Nick Saban, in the best interests of Alabama, would come back and save the program? Like, I like, that sounds like a narrative that Saban could sell. If I was a betting man and you were going to tell me, Jared, next year in 2026, Nick Saban will return to coach college football, I would say he's coming back to Alabama, because Ty Simpson didn't work out and they brought in Ryan Grubb and it didn't quite click. And you have 2 non-playoff years under DeBoer, and they're playing in the ReliaQuest Bowl against Michigan, and Michigan beats the crap out of them again. Like, I'm not saying it's exact those terms, but if something similar happens this year, yeah, I think you could make that case.
It's going to be interesting how college football plays out this year, because there are a lot of big coaches that obviously need to have some successful years at schools, right? Brett Venables at Oklahoma immediately comes to mind. He's got to have a big year. Brian Kelly at LSU has to have a good year. Sam Pittman at Arkansas has to have a good year. Just within the SEC, I mean, if Mike Norvell in Florida State goes like 3-9 again, even after going undefeated like in the regular season, he might have an uncomfortable offseason potentially. Another big part of this too, Jared, is when Saban retired and we were all trying to, figure out who the next coach of Alabama would be, there was an agent, Jimmy Sexton, who is the agent for a lot of these coaches, right? So you wonder, if Jimmy Sexton is the agent of DeBoer and Saban, if Bama doesn't have a good year, be interesting to see if DeBoer takes another job in the offseason, right? Let's say Oklahoma stinks and Venables is out and DeBoer goes and takes that job and Alabama's open, then I think it's interesting. But if Bama has a good year, if they win the SEC, make the playoff, let's say they lose in the semifinals, which in Alabama standards, right, it's win the title or bust every year. But if they have a solid year, if they improve off of what they did last year,
they make the playoff.
I think DeBoer's there. I think he's there,
agree.
and I don't think Saban would come in. I only think Saban comes in if they have another bad year, miss the playoff, like you were saying, and then if they're playing the ReliaQuest Bowl or whatever it is. So this is another piece of it, like more pressure for DeBoer at Alabama to have a good season, because if he doesn't, man, who knows? But that's the part I'm struggling with. I'm with you where I think Saban wants to return to coach. Like, I don't think that's crazy. Again, he's the same age as Belichick and Carroll, so it's not crazy to think that. It's just like, where would he land? Where would he go be the head coach? I mean, you would think it'd be Bama or nothing, and the only way I think he gets the job is if DeBoer has another, poor season.
I would agree. And I think their win total is 9.5.
Correct.
What's Bama's win total? 9.5?
Yep.
So, there's a coin flip that he might go 9-3. And they missed the playoff, just like last year. Like, that's very possible.
It is.
And to me, like, that's all it would probably take. I think it would take a 9-3 playoff miss kind of year, because you need to show improvement. Ryan Grubb, I think, will help. I do like the Grubb hire a lot. I think it's hard not to like him. And I think Ryan Williams is still one of the best players in the country. I just don't know how good Ty Simpson is. if Ty Simpson comes in and him and Grubb are on the same page and that offense looks good, then I think everything's hunky-dory. And if they win 10 games and make the playoff, I think he's probably fine. But is it like you went to Bama? Like, what would the vibe be in Tuscaloosa if they missed the playoff 2 years in a row?
Ooh, not good. A lot of my friends think that he absolutely could be on the hot seat. I don't think he would be. But a lot of my friends now they go like 6-6, right? I mean, that's different. But if they go 9-3 again, yeah,
then they would have to call Thanos. They would put the bat. They'd have to put the bat signal in the sky for Saban in that situation.
Be bad. But look, I mean, the win total is 9.5, and I think that's right, Jared. I mean, their schedule is not easy this year, as most people know. In the SEC this year, you play the same opponents that you did last year. It's just a flip of home and road, right? So Bama obviously went 9-3 against their schedule last year. Schedule is not any easier this year. Road game at Georgia. You figure they're probably going to lose that one. How about week one, Jared? I mean, week one, we got some awesome matchups. Texas, Ohio State, LSU, Clemson, Notre Dame, Miami. You talk about two teams that need a win off the bat. Bama, Florida State in Tallahassee to kick off the season. Do you know
at
who is
South Carolina, LSU? Like, I'll be honest, I think 8-4 is very possible here, PJ. It really is.
Well, Jared, I want to ask you, do you know who the offensive coordinator these days is at Florida State?
No, who isn't? I haven't looked at Florida State.
How about Gus Malzahn's the offensive coordinator now? I mean, throw another little storyline in that thing.
I think you guys are gonna win that game. I think the tricky spots are obviously Georgia, Tennessee, South Carolina on the road, and Cockeyville there, and LSU. I mean, those
Auburn
4 games.
Too. I can already tell you
obviously that game
because it's at Auburn.
It's always
at
a war.
Yeah.
But I honestly think you could lose all 4 of those games before the Auburn game. Like, you could legit be 7-4 going into that Auburn game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, LSU and South Carolina are really good this year. Nussmeier, let's leave it at this. I would put both of those quarterbacks, Nussmeier and Sellers, ahead of Simpson. I think Georgia's a loss. They're going to be a dog in that game. And then the game against Tennessee, you're at home, and you don't have to deal with Nico. But they always give them problems, right?
They do.
Like,
since Heupel's been there.
Heupel always gives them problems. So I think that's another tough game, and I would not be shocked if they went 1-3 in that stretch. And then there's your 3 losses right there. You better beat Auburn.
Oh, so that's how I think the season's going to go, Jared. I think they're going to find a way to be 10-2. I don't know who they're going to lose to, who they're going to beat. They're going to be 10-2 going into the Iron Bowl, and everything's going to be at stake for them to make the playoff, for them to make it to the SEC championship game. That's just how these things go, man. And the way that those games at Jordan-Hare have been going the last however many years, it's just always a 3-point game. It always comes down to the wire. It's never easy. There's something just funky and fluky. You know what was funny is I was at a buddy's wedding, Jared, over the summer a couple years ago. And it was a guy I went to college with, and we're talking about Bama's schedule, and we're going through the games. They're asking me what I think. And I tell him, we were talking about the Auburn game. It was at Jordan-Hare. And I said, I don't know what our record's going to be or what their record's going to be, but I promise you that game will be decided by 3 points, and it was. So this is how those games go, man. How those games go. It's kind of like the NFL games. Division rivals, doesn't matter what the records are, always come down to the wire. So Bama's win total 9.5. Jared and I both think it's going to be a tough season.